prepared. Yeah, he's got a following, and he's got a political future down the road as well. I'm actually a little surprised where he stands in this, whatever, but he's doing pretty well for a very loaded field at the end of the day.
Anybody with Hispanic descent has a bright future ahead of them.
Absolutely, that is true. Look at Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz,
Ted
whitest,
term limits Cruz.
the whitest Latin
Ted
guy.
saved his identity on the way out the door. Cruz with term limits.
Teddy C, man, how about Teddy C? One thing that's funny is Lindsey Graham. This is the power of Trump. Real quick side note: the power of Trump is that Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio blow this guy now, and he don't like. They were during the campaign like these were people he made fun of the most.
Oh, Ted Cruz is a total pussy.
You know what I mean?
He has no backbone. He has no spine. I don't know how he shows up to Congress. I don't even know how he leaves the House with Trump in office after the way that Trump battered him. And then he supports Trump to boot. But you know what it did do for Ted Cruz?
That's
what it
the
did
difference.
do for Ted Cruz. Because he got the shit kicked out of him by Trump early on,
Uh-huh.
he has a little bit of a gray area, a little bit of room between him and Trump as opposed to other Republicans who have to toe the line. So it gives Ted Cruz the occasional wiggle room to go against Trump, which makes him somewhat respectable in the end. So the whole thing is just bizarre.
Well, the other thing you got to remember is that Ted Cruz, when we actually refer to a Tea Party, which the Tea Party really morphed just into the Donald Trump Party in a way, there really is no Tea Party. Certainly the media doesn't talk about it, but Ted Cruz had a lot of clout with the Tea Party with Rand Paul, so he's got a following, outside of Texas. So he's as much as somebody as anybody.
The Tea Party put down the tea bags and they picked up the torches.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, Charlottesville reference from Charlottesville. So Tom Ryan, and Drew
No.
and
Tom Ryan is always trying to do something bigger than he is, and it's annoying.
yeah. I think a lot of people think Tom Ryan writes all the Patriot Games novels, but that's actually Tom Clancy. You'd be wrong.
Oh, really? I thought he was married to the Roseanne.
Yeah, absolutely. That was him. Oh, he loves Trump. That guy's nuts. Tom Ryan's nuts. Bill de Blasio. Here, this is a fun one. Why do so many people hate this man?
I don't know why, because Bill de Blasio is your classic politician. There's nothing really
That's why they hate
particularly
him.
offsetting about him.
You
I
just
guess
hit
that's
it.
why he's a status quo.
Yeah,
He's a status quo politician.
He also, you got to remember, New York City's always kind of bounced back and forth with Democratic and Republicans. There's no set mayoral situation in New York, so they bounce back all the time. But for some reason, after Giuliani, Bloomberg, this guy, I think there's a feeling that they've really regressed into that San Francisco shit all over the streets kind of thing going on, and he's to blame for that a little bit. And he's a showboat. Like, this is a guy who's like, you better go green. We're getting rid of meat on Mondays at school. And he literally takes an hour trip to Brooklyn with a whole caravan with him just to go work out. And by the way, very fit. Good.
Well, I think everyone is sick of New York nanny state type politics around the country, especially people that live in New York. I mean, they even regulate the size of soda you can get. I think people are over that kind of thing.
Right.
But also, I think that if you are from New York, if you're from California, if you're from, even in South Florida in some places, if you're from one of these liberal strongholds, then you have all the bots attacking you. You have foreign countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, all these other people talking to you. Those liberal strongholds have become target centers. So any politician coming out of there has 4 or 5 times the propaganda pumped against them as any other place. Like, if you're coming out of California, New York, I mean, just get ready. You're going to deal with way more drama than anybody else. You need twice the media budget.
Well, you're in the spotlight, so I mean, it's kind of like being a celebrity. It's what you kind of paid for. Jay Inslee, another one, has no shot. Some of these people, I don't even know why they run, right? I mean, you're just wasting time. I guess they pocket the money after or whatever happens, but there's really no reason other than upping your political status for some of these guys.
Or for some kind of wheeling and dealing. Hey, I will drop out of the race if you make me your Treasury Secretary, or I will drop out of the race if you make me the head of housing, or another popular one is, hey, if you support me in another campaign for this or whatever it is. Well, it's always usually a trade out to get out of the race. So by entering, you're wheeling and dealing for later.
Well, that's exactly what Donald Trump did for Ben Carson. He made him the Secretary of Sleepy Time and Beds because he's so sleepy. Isn't he dreamy?
How did he give anyone brain surgery?
I would be nervous if you had a consultation. I love Ben Carson because I believe he's a genuinely nice soul and a nice religious man. I genuinely believe that.
He
but
has
you're
pictures
right.
in his house that he had professionally painted of him with Jesus. Literally.
There you go.
Jesus.
I didn't even know that.
Jesus is cuddling him.
That's beautiful. To me, that's absolutely beautiful.
Well,
actually.
I like to know that my housing director is cuddled by Jesus.
But you're right. If you didn't know who he was, you don't know nothing, and you sat down and here's the consultation, and he's the guy who's going to do your neurosurgery, fuck you. No way, dude.
Maybe neurosurgery is so complex and intricate that he's so slow, it's perfect for him. It's the perfect
Talk about a steady hand. I mean, this guy is barely moving. moving. I love it though. It's great. He got the sweetheart job. Listen, remember he went far for a guy that nobody knew. He went far in that.
But that new
and he might have
Democratic
been cabinet.
senator, she ate his lunch for him the other day. He didn't know what an ROA was. Or
That was
ROI.
embarrassing.
It's an ROI, right?
Well,
when
he
you get foreclosed on,
like
it's
an
ROI.
or something like that.
Yeah.
He pulled a Hillary Clinton when she's like, "Turkey, what do you mean, like gobble gobble?" And it's like, "No, bitch, you know it don't mean gobble gobble. You're Secretary of State." But for him to be like what, like Oreos, like dip it in milk, like my favorite cookie? Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing, dude.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, front runner. Is he gonna hold on?
In any other scenario, I would say no, he would not hold on. And I'm not even a Joe Biden fan per se. He's not
Really?
progressive enough for me. I consider myself
Okay.
a real progressive, and he's
No,
like,
he certainly isn't.
he's like Diet Trump.
He's a flip-floppy.
Yeah, he's Trump light.
Yeah.
So I'm not really thrilled about Biden as my choice, but the real deal is this. Everyone wants to beat Trump. Biden lines up to beat Trump well.
Right.
He also has a million other candidates in the race that are going to take up a lot of space fighting against each other. So I don't know that anyone can rise above the infighting below him to take him out. Unless
Probably not.
Unless people start to team up like a Kamala Buttigieg, that would get a lot of energy behind it.
Well,
Something like that.
I think what people need to understand is this is not exciting yet. And even as a Trump backer, I'm excited for this because I love politics and because you are listening to Ruthless Politics at the Space Coast Podcast Studios in sunny Florida with Kid Chronic and Treez. But I'm excited when it starts to narrow down. Once you get rid of the trash, or I shouldn't say that, but once you get rid of these candidates that don't matter, really have no shot, it's going to get good when it's just a Biden, Kamala Harris, and they got to kind of snipe at each other. At some point, this is going to get good.
That's what
right
I'm
now it's a
terrified
little
about.
bit. Yeah.
But you know what scares me?
Right, does it hurt
what
you?
What scares me is Bernie. So I was a Bernie supporter. I loved Bernie. I like what Bernie stands for. I like the idea that Bernie's in the race. Not because I want Bernie to be president and him try to do all this stuff that we obviously couldn't afford. He can maybe do